The cold metallic taste of air filled his mouth. Slowly his eyes opened, blinking against the harsh white light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy, stiff, as if the weight of centuries had pressed down on him. He looked around. The room was strange, sterile, empty, yet strangely familiar. Panels of glass and metal stretched around him in arcs, screens flashing faint blue lights, some broken, some still faintly alive. "How?" he whispered, his voice cracked and dry. He tried to remember. The last thing he could recall was falling asleep in his apartment, the gentle hum of city life outside his window. But that memory felt distant, almost unreal, like a dream he could barely touch. Something in the air told him that everything had changed. His legs finally moved. With a groan, he pushed himself out of the strange pod he had been lying in. The pod hissed, a thin mist curling around its edges, then fell silent again. He stepped forward, careful, his eyes scanning every corner. The room looked like a laboratory. Equipment, tools, and consoles scattered around, but there was no one there. Not a single sound, not even the low hum of human activity he expected. He reached a window, or what he thought was a window. Outside he saw a city, but it was not alive. Buildings stood tall, but glass panels were shattered. Streets were cracked and overgrown with strange plants that had crept up through concrete. Cars lay abandoned, rusted and frozen in place. There were no lights, no movement, no sound except the wind. A cold fear gripped him. No humans? He tried to remember the news, the history, anything that could explain this. But his mind drew a blank. His heart pounded as he realized, if this was real, if what he saw was the truth, humanity was gone. Panic made him run down the stairs of the building. Every floor was eerily silent, empty, as if life had been erased in an instant. Yet the city below told a different story, decay but over time. This was no sudden disaster. It had happened slowly, centuries ago. He felt both terrified and fascinated. He reached the street. The wind carried whispers of the past, rustling papers, shaking loose tiles. Nature had begun reclaiming the world. Grass grew in cracks of sidewalks. Trees pushed through buildings, their roots breaking stone and metal. Birds circled above, unfamiliar species with bright, shimmering feathers. Some creatures scuttled through the streets, small and cautious, clearly adapting to a world without humans. He wandered, calling out, but no one answered. "Hello, anyone?" His voice seemed to vanish into the air, swallowed by the vast silence. He tried to find familiar places, a park, a street, a building he remembered, but everything had changed. Even the names on signs were worn or covered by moss. The world he knew was gone, replaced by something alien and beautiful in its own way. Hours, or maybe days. He had lost track of time, passed as he explored. He found records, old computers and tablets still functioning in rare pockets of electricity. Dusty archives told stories of humans, of their cities, their dreams, and eventually, their decline. Wars, natural disasters, and slow environmental collapse were mentioned. Civilization had fought to survive, but time had been relentless. Humans had vanished, yet he noticed something strange. Not everything was gone. Machines still worked. Some lights blinked. Robots, small and silent, moved automatically, continuing tasks humans had programmed long ago. One robot, a small cleaner, stopped and tilted its head at him as if confused. It had no words, no understanding of who he was, but it continued its work when he stepped back. He reached a vast plaza once crowded with people. Now it was a garden of wild growth. Trees stretched tall. Flowers bloomed in colors he had never seen. The air smelled different, clean, sweet, alive. He walked among the ruins, amazed at how life had continued without humans. The thought made him both sad and strangely hopeful. Life did not end with humanity. It adapted, survived, and even thrived. As he moved further, he noticed remnants of technology far beyond what he remembered. Towers rose into the clouds, glowing faintly. Some still powered by energy he could not understand. He found a terminal, half buried in vines that flickered to life when he touched it. A message appeared. System online. Humanity offline, awaiting instructions. He stared at the words. The system seemed to recognize him as human, yet there was no one else. He pressed buttons, explored files, but most of the data was corrupted, broken by time. Still, some fragments remained. Images of humans, cities, machines, and spacecraft. Civilization had been incredible. Humans had reached the stars. They had built wonders that had lasted millennia, but they were gone now, leaving only echoes behind. For a moment, despair gripped him. He sank to the ground, the weight of isolation pressing down. He was perhaps the last human alive. Every memory, every achievement, every mistake of humanity, he carried it alone. Then something stirred inside him. A spark of determination. Humanity may be gone, but he was still here. The world was still alive, even if in a new form. Machines waited, animals thrived, plants flourished, and the earth itself continued spinning. He realized that he had a choice, to fade into loneliness or to explore, understand, and perhaps continue what humans had started. He stood, dusting off his clothes. The sun, faint and strange but still bright, shone on the ruins. He breathed deeply. The city was silent, yes, but it was also full of stories. Stories of creation, struggle, triumph, and failure. He would uncover them. He would remember humanity, not just as a lost species, but as a force that had once shaped the galaxy. As night fell, stars appeared in the sky, millions of them, shining like distant fires. He felt small, but also a strange connection to everything. Perhaps humanity's story was not finished. Perhaps he could carry it forward, learn from it, and explore the universe that humans had once dreamed of reaching. He walked on, leaving the broken streets behind, following the lights of a distant tower that seemed to pulse with life. Somewhere, deep within the ruins, secrets waited. Secrets of humanity, of technology, and perhaps of hope itself. And as he disappeared into the shadows of the empty city, he whispered to the wind, "Humanity may be gone, but I'm still here. I will find the rest of the story." The first days after his awakening blurred together. He wandered the empty streets, moving from one ruined city to another. Time seemed to have no meaning here. Sunlight came and went, casting shadows over buildings that had once touched the clouds. Broken glass glittered like frozen water. Rusted vehicles sat like forgotten toys. He could not believe this world had once been full of life. Despite the silence, he continued exploring. He entered buildings that had survived the centuries, carefully stepping over debris. Inside, the air smelled of dust and decay. Old offices, homes, and labs were frozen in time like snapshots of human life. He found diaries, computers, and tablets most corrupted beyond repair, but some files survived. He learned fragments about wars, inventions, explorations, and the slow decline of humanity. It was not sudden. He realized humans had faded over time, little by little, like stars burning out in the night sky. One building caught his attention. A massive library, its glass dome shattered, but inside, countless books and digital records had survived. He entered cautiously, brushing off dust and cobwebs. The smell of old paper was strange and comforting. He flipped through books, some heavy and bound in leather, others with shimmering metallic pages. Images of people, cities, and machines filled him with awe. Humanity had once achieved incredible things, traveling to stars, building machines far beyond his imagination. Yet even here he felt the emptiness. No one was left to share these stories. He whispered to the shadows, hoping for a reply, but none came. Only the wind answered, carrying a faint rustle of leaves from outside. As he explored, he noticed signs of life slowly returning. Trees had broken through sidewalks. Grass grew in cracks of streets. Strange flowers with colors he had never seen bloomed around ruined fountains. Animals, too, had adapted. Small creatures with glimmering eyes and unusual markings peeked from corners, watching him cautiously. He realized that nature was reclaiming the earth, reshaping it into something new, beautiful and alive without humans. Days passed, though he had no way to count them. Food was scarce, but he discovered emergency rations in hidden storerooms of old buildings. Water came from broken fountains and underground reservoirs. Slowly, his body regained strength. He was alive, alone, and surrounded by a world that remembered humans only in ruins. One evening, as he rested on the steps of a collapsed museum, he noticed something strange. Lights in the distance, flickering in patterns unlike any human city he had known. Curiosity overcame caution. He moved toward the lights, slipping through streets overgrown with vines. The closer he got, the more he realized these were not natural. The lights were part of a system, a network of machines still functioning even after thousands of years. He reached a massive tower, its surface smooth and metallic, glowing faintly with blue energy. Panels shifted and moved as if alive. He pressed a hand against one and a voice echoed in his mind, soft, mechanical but not threatening. Human recognized. Identity confirmed. Systems online. He stumbled back, heart racing. The machine could sense him, understand him, even communicate. Who are you?" he asked aloud. "I am a guardian," the voice replied. "Purpose, protect human legacy. Observation, humanity extinct." The word extinct hit him like a physical blow. He sank to the floor, unable to move. Humanity truly was gone, but the guardian continued, its voice calm, almost gentle. "Legacy remains. Data preserved. Life forms adapting. You are alone." He swallowed hard. "Alone." "Yes," he whispered, "but maybe not forever. Maybe there is more out there." The machine seemed to hesitate, or perhaps it only paused in its calculations. Then it spoke again. "Unknown signals detected. Source beyond planet possible. Human or other." His heart leapt. Could there really be others? Or some remnant of humanity somewhere in the galaxy? The thought filled him with hope and fear at the same time. He had to know. He had to find answers. Over the next days, he explored more of the facility. Machines moved silently, repairing themselves, maintaining systems, and occasionally stopping to acknowledge him. Some offered data about the history of Earth, showing images of humans creating incredible machines, colonizing other planets, and exploring stars. He felt pride in his species, but also an ache for what had been lost. Outside, the world continued its slow transformation. Rivers that had dried centuries ago now trickled with clean water. Mountains, once scarred by mining and cities, now had forests climbing their slopes. The air was clear, alive with birdsong and the rustle of wind through leaves. Life had not only survived, it had learned to thrive without humans. The protagonist realized something important. Humanity may have disappeared, but the seeds of its existence remained, in technology, in art, in knowledge, and even in the living world. The Earth itself seemed to honor the memory of humans, transforming their abandoned creations into something that could continue on its own. One day, while exploring a ruined observatory, he discovered an old telescope. Still functional thanks to solar power, he peered into the sky, scanning the stars. Then, faint but distinct, a signal appeared, repeating patterns of light pulsing with precision. It was not random. It was intelligence. Could it be humans, he wondered aloud. His heart pounded with a mixture of fear, excitement, and hope. He had spent days exploring ruins, learning from machines, and witnessing the beauty of nature reclaiming the planet. But now, there was a possibility that humanity's story had not ended. Determined, he returned to the Guardian machine. "I want to know about that signal. How can I reach it?" he asked. The machine responded after a pause. "Signal source distant system. Travel required spacecraft. Probability of success unknown. Recommendation, prepare." For the first time since awakening, he felt a surge of purpose. The world around him was silent, beautiful and strange, but it was no longer a tomb. It was a starting point. Humanity may have vanished from Earth, but the universe was vast, full of possibilities, and he was still human. He had the knowledge, the courage, and the will to continue the journey. That night, under the glow of stars, he began planning. He explored old spacecraft, learning their systems, discovering tools left behind by humans who had reached for the stars. Machines assisted, slowly teaching him what he needed to know. Every step was difficult, every discovery a reminder of the ingenuity of his species. But he felt alive in a way he hadn't before. He was not just surviving, he was reclaiming the future. And as the first faint light of dawn touched the ruined city, he looked toward the horizon. Somewhere far away, answers awaited, perhaps remnants of humanity, perhaps something entirely new. But one thing was certain: he would not stop until he found it. The Earth was empty, yes, but it was also a world of stories, a world of life, and a world of endless possibility. Humanity may have vanished, but he was here, and that was enough to begin again. The first light of morning revealed a city both ruined and alive. Vines crawled up the sides of shattered buildings. Birds nested in broken windows, and the wind carried the distant scent of blooming flowers. The protagonist stood on a collapsed bridge, gazing at the horizon. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, lay answers, or at least a clue to what had happened to humanity. He had spent weeks exploring, learning from the Guardian machines and gathering knowledge from the surviving technology. The machines were patient teachers. They showed him the remnants of spacecraft hidden in underground hangars, the ships humans had built to explore distant worlds. Most were damaged, but some were repairable, powered by solar energy and automated maintenance systems. He approached the largest hangar, a structure taller than any skyscraper he had seen. Its doors had fallen, but inside spacecraft rested in silence, waiting. He ran his hand over the hull of a medium-sized vessel, feeling the cold metal beneath his fingers. It was elegant, built with precision, designed to travel far beyond the solar system. He could feel the legacy of his species in every curve, every panel, every tiny detail. The Guardian spoke beside him, its voice calm and steady. "This vessel can reach the signal source. Systems functional 78%. Repairs required, minimal but necessary for long-range travel." He nodded, determination filling him. "Then we begin." The following days became a whirlwind of activity. He scavenged spare parts from ruined labs and old factories. Machines assisted him, lifting heavy components, calibrating systems, and repairing engines. Each repair was a small victory, a reminder of humanity's ingenuity and resilience. He marveled at the technology, the clever designs, and the way humans had thought far beyond their time. Despite the progress, challenges remained. Life support systems had degraded. Navigation systems required calibration. The fuel cells had only limited charge. But the protagonist was not discouraged. He was determined to learn, to adapt, and to overcome every obstacle. He had survived 15,000 years of isolation, and now he would survive this challenge too. During breaks, he explored the hangar and the surrounding city. Nature continued its slow conquest. Birds perched on broken antennae. Strange glowing plants grew between the cracks of concrete. Occasionally he saw small animals, cautious but curious, observing him as if judging whether he belonged in this world. He smiled at them, realizing that life could survive without humans, and perhaps humans could survive without the rest of humanity too. One evening, while examining a console, he discovered fragments of communication logs, messages sent centuries ago, detailing expeditions to other planets and distant star systems. Some logs mentioned failures, others spoke of hope and discovery. He felt a strange connection to the people who had written these messages. Humans long gone, but speaking across time through technology. A sudden idea struck him. Perhaps he was not just traveling to find other humans or answers about their disappearance. Perhaps he was meant to continue the mission humanity had begun, to explore, to discover, to leave a mark in the universe. His heart raced at the thought. This was not just survival, it was purpose. As the first step of preparation, he focused on life support. He learned to repair oxygen generators, water purifiers, and food synthesizers. The machines guided him patiently, explaining processes he had only read about before. He worked tirelessly, day and night, until every system hummed steadily. The air in the ship became clean and breathable. The water tasted pure. Small amounts of synthesized food provided nourishment. Each success gave him confidence. Next came navigation. He studied old star charts, mapping constellations, planets, and asteroid fields. The signal's origin was distant beyond the solar system, in a place humanity had only dreamed of reaching. The challenge was immense, but the thought of answers drove him onward. He spent hours calibrating sensors, aligning the ship's guidance systems, and programming automated routes. Engine repairs were the most demanding. The propulsion system had partially decayed, but with guidance from the machines he replaced circuits, repaired fuel lines, and cleaned energy conduits. He ran countless tests, watching displays flicker and engines hum. Slowly, the ship came to life. It vibrated with potential, a silent promise that the journey ahead was possible. During the repairs, he discovered something remarkable. The ship's systems contained records of humanity's achievements, plans for colonies on distant worlds, blueprints for advanced machines, and even messages from humans who had left Earth long ago. He realized that humanity had not truly vanished. Their knowledge, their dreams, and their ambition lived on in these machines and vessels. It was humbling and inspiring. One night, as he rested beside the ship, he gazed at the stars. The sky was clearer than he had ever seen, unpolluted and bright, every star a beacon of possibility. He wondered if any humans remained among them, perhaps traveling the cosmos as they had intended. The thought filled him with hope and a deep sense of responsibility. He was carrying humanity's legacy, and he would honor it. As he prepared for departure, the Guardian machine offered advice. Caution advised. Unknown variables in deep space. Potential hazards, meteor fields, radiation, system failure. Probability of survival uncertain. He smiled faintly. I know, he replied, but I have to try. There is no other choice. Finally, the ship was ready. The engines hummed steadily. Life support systems maintained a perfect environment, and navigation was calibrated to the distant signal. The protagonist stepped aboard, feeling the weight of centuries on his shoulders and the hope of humanity in his heart. Before launch, he paused to look back at the city below. The ruins were quiet but alive. Nature had transformed it into a new world, a testament to life's resilience. He whispered a farewell not just to Earth but to the humans who had once called it home. I will carry your story, he promised. With a deep breath, he initiated the launch sequence. Engines roared to life, lifting the ship gently at first, then faster, breaking through the atmosphere. The ground fell away, the clouds parted, and the vast expanse of space stretched before him, endless and shimmering with stars. As the ship accelerated toward the signal, he felt a mixture of fear, excitement, and wonder. The journey would be long, the dangers unknown, but he was ready. Humanity's story was not over. He would continue it, one step, one star at a time. The Guardian's voice echoed in his mind. Destination, signal source. Estimated travel unknown. Probability of success, 50%, he smiled. Then we make it 100, and with that, he crossed the threshold from a silent, abandoned Earth into the vast, mysterious universe carrying the hopes, dreams, and legacy of a species that had once touched the stars, and now through him might reach them again. The engines hummed steadily, a comforting rhythm as the ship cut through the atmosphere and into the void of space. The Earth below shrank to a pale blue dot, fragile and silent. He pressed his hands against the console, watching the stars stretch in streaks as the ship accelerated toward the mysterious signal. The loneliness of Earth had been heavy, but here, surrounded by infinite darkness, the isolation was total. Yet he did not feel fear, only determination. The first days were quiet. He monitored the ship, checked life support, and studied the star charts. Even with advanced systems guiding him, space travel demanded attention. Small anomalies in the engines, fluctuations in energy, and strange radiation bursts reminded him that nothing in this vast universe was simple. He kept logs, noting every detail, every irregularity, and every success. But space had a way of testing resolve. On the third day, the first challenge arrived, a belt of meteorites drifting unpredictably through the void. The sensors beeped furiously, warning of imminent collision. The ship's shields were strong, but he knew they might not withstand a direct hit from the larger stones. Heart pounding, he engaged the navigation system, manually adjusting the trajectory. The ship danced through the belt, dodging massive rocks with precise movements. Sparks flew from minor collisions and alarms blared, but he refused to panic. His hands moved swiftly over controls, guided by instinct and the knowledge he had learned from humans who had once mastered the stars. After what felt like hours, the final meteor passed and silence returned. He leaned back, trembling but smiling. Survival was not guaranteed, but he had made it. In the quiet afterward, he allowed himself a moment to look at the stars. They seemed closer now, alive with energy and possibility. The universe was vast, beautiful, and dangerous, but it was a world he was meant to explore. He realized that humanity had always been driven by curiosity, and that drive now burned within him. Days turned into weeks. He passed planets, nebulae, and distant suns, each one a reminder of the vastness of creation. Occasionally, he intercepted faint signals, pulses of light and data that might have been remnants of human exploration, or something entirely alien. He recorded them all, hoping they would offer clues about the signal he was following. The Guardian machine remained at his side, calm and precise. Energy level stable. Navigation course maintained. Distance to signal source decreasing. He nodded, grateful for the guidance. Keep me informed, he said, and alert me if anything changes. Then unexpectedly, a new phenomenon appeared. A ripple in space, like a wave of distortion, stretched across the sensors. It was unlike anything he had seen before. The ship shook slightly as the anomaly passed and readings fluctuated wildly. The Guardian spoke cautiously, its voice measured. Unknown spatial anomaly detected. Effects on ship systems minimal but unpredictable. Recommendation: proceed with caution. He swallowed, gripping the controls. Proceed anyway, he replied. The pull of the signal, the hope of answers, outweighed fear. As the anomaly passed, the signal grew stronger, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost intentional. He stared at the readings. It was not random, it had intelligence behind it. And with each passing hour, the signal became clearer, more defined. Somewhere ahead, the source awaited, a mystery calling him across the stars. One night, as he floated in the ship's cabin, he allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. He thought of Earth, of the silent cities and overgrown streets. He thought of humanity, its achievements and its disappearance. He realized that he was not just exploring the universe. He was carrying the memory of an entire species. Every discovery, every challenge, every victory now held greater meaning. The next challenge came without warning. A massive asteroid field, larger and denser than the first, loomed ahead. The sensors showed hundreds of objects moving unpredictably. The ship's shields could hold, but fuel consumption would skyrocket if he tried to navigate through at high speed. He had to decide, risk a slow, careful path through the field, or attempt a faster route with higher danger. He chose speed. There was no room for hesitation. The engines roared as he guided the ship through the asteroids, narrowly avoiding collisions. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the ship groaned under the strain. Each maneuver demanded precision and courage. Minutes stretched into hours, and his muscles ached from constant tension. Finally, he emerged on the other side, breathless but alive. The stars stretched before him, unchanged and infinite. He allowed himself a small smile. "One step closer," he whispered. In the following days, the universe revealed wonders he had never imagined. He passed a binary star system, two suns dancing around each other, casting colors across the planets below. One planet glowed with swirling gases, a giant storm raging on its surface. Another was covered in ice, reflecting distant starlight like a mirror. He felt awe but also a pang of longing. Humanity had reached for these stars, and now through him their dreams continued. Then a breakthrough. The signal had grown strong enough to trace its origin with precision. He discovered a small habitable planet orbiting a distant sun. Sensors detected structures, machines, perhaps remnants of human technology or something else entirely. The planet's surface glowed faintly, as if alive with energy. His heart raced. Could this be where answers awaited? Could humanity or the legacy of it still exist here? He prepared for descent, checking life support, navigation, and shields. The Guardian machine offered final advice. Unknown variables on planet surface. Structural analysis incomplete. Probability of safe landing uncertain. "I understand," he said, "but I have to try." The ship descended through the atmosphere, piercing clouds and turbulence. Wind and pressure tested the hull, but the vessel held. Finally, it landed on a plateau overlooking vast structures glowing faintly in the twilight. The surface was strange but not alien. Machines and buildings perfectly preserved yet ancient. He stepped out, feeling the ground beneath his feet. The air was breathable, the environment stable. The structures seemed to hum with energy, responding to his presence. It was as if the planet itself recognized him. He walked forward cautiously, every step filled with awe and anticipation. Then he saw it, a massive tower taller than any he had seen on Earth, glowing with light. Its surface pulsed with energy, and faint inscriptions adorned its walls. The signal originated here. Whatever or whoever was responsible for it awaited him. He approached the tower, heart pounding, and felt a strange connection, as if the universe itself had guided him to this place. The journey had been long, dangerous, and filled with uncertainty, but he had arrived. And now answers and perhaps new challenges lay ahead. For the first time in 15,000 years, he was not alone in the universe. The silence of Earth had ended. A new story was beginning, one that would reveal the truth of humanity, the mysteries of the cosmos, and the possibilities of the future. And as he reached the base of the tower, he whispered to himself, "A promise to the humans of the past and to the explorers of tomorrow. I will find the truth. No matter what waits, I will not turn back." The tower pulsed with a soft blue light as if breathing. The protagonist stood at its base, staring up at its immense height. The signal had led him here, across countless light years, and now the truth awaited him. Every fiber of his being was tense with anticipation. He took a deep breath and began to climb the ramp that spiraled around the structure, each step echoing softly in the vast emptiness. Inside, the tower was unlike anything he had seen. Walls glimmered with strange materials, panels shifting as he passed. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing images, maps, and streams of data. He realized quickly, this was not just a signal. This tower was a repository, a living archive of knowledge, waiting for someone to awaken it. A soft voice spoke, calm and melodic, from the walls themselves. Welcome, human. You are recognized. You are the last of your kind on Earth, but not alone. The protagonist's heart skipped a beat. Who are you? He asked. I am an archivist, the voice replied. I was created by humans long ago before their disappearance. My purpose: preserve human knowledge, monitor life, and maintain legacy. You have traveled far to reach us. You have succeeded. He felt a mixture of awe and relief. Humanity had vanished, but not entirely. Their creations, their dreams, and their wisdom had endured. Here, in this distant world, why? Why am I here? He asked. To witness, to learn, to continue, the archivist replied. Humanity reached its end on Earth, but its legacy was never lost. You are the link between the past and the future. The protagonist walked through the halls, watching images of humans who had lived, laughed, explored, and fought for survival. Then he saw plans for interstellar colonies, machines designed to help other worlds, and ships that had traveled even farther than he had imagined. Humanity had not just survived, they had reached for the stars. He approached the main chamber, where a central platform rose from the floor. On it lay a sphere of light, floating and rotating slowly. Data streams projected around it, forming a three-dimensional map of countless star systems. The signal he had followed originated here, from this very sphere. The archivist explained, "This is the core of humanity. It contains every achievement, every creation, and every discovery your species made. It also holds knowledge of life beyond Earth. The signal you followed was a call, designed to awaken the last humans capable of understanding and continuing our work." He stepped closer, mesmerized. As he touched the sphere, a flood of images and information filled his mind. He saw humans building colonies on distant planets, machines helping life flourish, and efforts to protect ecosystems. He saw the triumphs and failures, the beauty and the mistakes. He understood fully what humanity had been and what it could still become. A question burned in his mind. Why did humans vanish? The archivist's voice was gentle. Not all humans vanished at once. Time, disaster, disease, and misfortune claimed Earth slowly. Some left for other planets, but over centuries their paths were lost. Humanity's presence diminished, yet seeds of your species remain, in machines, in records, and in the worlds you once touched. He felt a pang of sadness, but also wonder. Humanity had vanished, yes, but they had left behind a legacy strong enough to endure for millennia. He was standing at the heart of it, alive, carrying their memory, and able to continue their mission. The archivist then revealed the final piece. There is more. Life beyond this system thrives. Signals and data show other civilizations, some human descendants, some not. Your journey does not end here. The choice is yours. Remain and protect this knowledge, or venture farther to explore, to reconnect and to carry humanity into the universe once more. He paused, looking at the glowing sphere, at the maps of distant stars, and at the knowledge of a species long gone. A fire ignited within him. He realized that his journey had been about more than survival. It was about purpose. Humanity had touched the stars, left marks across the universe, and now, through him, it could continue. I will go, he said firmly. I will carry our story. I will find what remains, and I will continue what we started. The archivist pulsed softly in approval. Then you are ready. Prepare the vessel. The path forward is uncertain, but hope guides those who carry it. Over the next days he worked tirelessly, studying the ships in the tower's hangars. Some were old, centuries beyond Earth's time, yet maintained perfectly by automated systems. With the archivist's guidance, he learned how to operate. These ships calibrate their engines and prepare them for interstellar travel. Every moment he felt the presence of humans who had built these machines, whispering across time, encouraging him forward. Finally, a small, sleek ship stood ready. It was designed for long journeys, capable of traveling through distant star systems and withstanding the dangers of deep space. He stepped aboard, running checks one last time. Life support was stable, engines hummed with controlled energy, and navigation systems locked onto coordinates showing the presence of distant civilizations. He paused, touching the console lightly. "For humanity," he whispered, feeling a connection that spanned millennia. "For the people who came before me. For those who may come after." The engines roared, lifting the vessel from the platform and into the atmosphere of the distant planet. The light of the tower faded behind him, but its presence lingered in his mind, a beacon of knowledge and hope. He guided the ship toward the stars, following the signals of other civilizations and the traces of human descendants across the galaxy. As he traveled, he witnessed wonders beyond imagination. Nebulae glowed in brilliant colors, massive planets rotated gracefully, and stars burned with the fury of life itself. Occasionally, faint signs of other civilizations appeared, structures, signals, and patterns suggesting intelligence. He realized that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that life itself had many forms, all striving, surviving, and reaching for something greater. Months, or perhaps years, passed in the cold beauty of space. He grew stronger, wiser, and more confident. Every obstacle, every challenge, every lonely night reminded him of the value of determination, curiosity, and hope. Humanity's legacy was no longer just on Earth. It was now alive in him, guiding him forward. Finally, a small signal appeared on his instruments, faint but unmistakably human in origin. His heart leapt. Somewhere out there, descendants of humanity, or humans who had survived elsewhere, existed. They were alive, carrying their own stories, and now he could reconnect. He adjusted the course, following the signal across star systems, through asteroid fields and past distant suns. The journey was long and dangerous, but he no longer feared it. He carried the weight of humanity's past, but also the light of its future. As the ship approached the source, he saw structures similar to the tower he had discovered, smaller but alive with energy and purpose. Humans, or descendants of humans, moved within them, working, exploring, and surviving. Their technology was advanced, their spirit vibrant. And as he descended toward the planet, he felt an overwhelming sense of awe. Humanity had endured, not in numbers, but in resilience, knowledge, and ambition. The ship landed gently, and he stepped onto the surface, the ground firm beneath his feet. He looked at the people before him, humans, altered slightly by time and adaptation, yet unmistakably human. Their eyes widened at the sight of him, and then slowly, recognition and joy spread across their faces. He smiled, tears in his eyes. "I found you," he said softly. And in that moment, the weight of 15,000 years of solitude lifted. Humanity was not gone. It had survived in fragments, in machines, in distant worlds, and now, reunited through him, it could continue its story. He realized then what it meant to be human, not just to survive, but to explore, to learn, to create, and to carry hope across the stars. Humanity's story was far from over. It was only beginning again. As the distant sun set on the horizon, casting brilliant hues across the landscape, he whispered a promise to the past, present, and future. "We are still here. We will endure, and we will reach further than ever before." The stars shone brighter than ever, welcoming him and humanity back into the vast, endless universe.